Welcome along to the Hong Kong Racing Show. Andrew Brown with you alongside Alex Evers. We've got a great show coming up for you, as we always do. Shortly, we're going to be joined by a rising star in the Hong Kong jockey ranks, Luke Ferraris. So really excited to have Luke on the show and have a chat with him as our special guest in just a few moments. As always, we'll have the latest Hong Kong racing news for you. And we'll also find a few winners for you at Sha Tin this weekend. But Alex, given that you and I are both in California, I do firstly want to say that our thoughts and are certainly with everybody affected by the ongoing situation in the greater LA region with these horrific fires. I'm in San Diego, so haven't been impacted, but you are in greater LA. What's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, we're fortunate. We're at the bottom of the South Bay there. So if you look up north, you can see Santa Monica and Venice ablaze. And the weather and the air quality has been atrocious. And there's a bunch of ash everywhere. The cars are covered. Everything outside is covered. It's been crazy. But we got some friends that have been affected. But so far, so good for me and my family. And just thoughts and prayers and to everybody else that's been affected. And it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon right now. So kind of keeping an eye on everything here.
Yeah, we can continue to pray for the safety and recovery efforts for everyone impacted during this difficult time. We will get on with the show, though. And before Luke joins us, here's a couple of the latest Hong Kong racing news items. And sprint superstar Ying Rising has tuned up for his next assignment, winning a star-studded trial at Sha Tin during the week with regular rider Zac Purton up. The Hong Kong sprint winner held off the Hong Kong mile winner Voyage Bubble with a gap back to the likes of Helios Express and Galaxy Patch. Alex, that would have been exactly what David Hayes would have liked to have seen heading towards the Centenary Sprint Cup next weekend.
Absolutely. And look, the way it's lining up right now is Purton could potentially break the record or at least tie the record on Ying Rising, which how incredible would that be? You know, doing it in a grade one race like that with a horse like that. Stuff we can only dream about. Spin the narrative, get excited for it, but he's got an impressive chance. And look at that trial. That trial would be a grade one race anywhere in the world. And it's just a afternoon, morning at Sha Tin there. So
yeah. Unfortunately for Zac, that trial win doesn't count towards the record, but he is now just 8 wins away from breaking Douglas Whyte's record to become the winningest jockey in Hong Kong racing history. Just 7 to tie it. So that could happen, as you say, next weekend at Sha Tin if he doesn't do it beforehand, which would be amazing if he does it aboard Ying Rising.
how wild would that be? Maybe we can get action on that. Find some foreign markets to get a bet that he breaks it on Ying Rising.
The Hollywood script writers are at work already if that happens.
We love it.
Trainer David Hayes also confirming plans to chase the 5 million Hong Kong dollars on offer for the winner of the Hong Kong Speed Series, which includes the Centenary Sprint Cup, the Queen Silver Jubilee, where he'll step up from 6 to 7 furlongs, and of course the Chairman's Sprint Prize. So that's really exciting to follow Ying Rising over the next few months. And Alex, we had some group racing action at Happy Valley during the week, the only group race on the Happy Valley calendar. Helene Feeling winning the Group 3 January Cup. What did you think of that win?
It was awesome, and he got the right trip, and he sat outside and got the run of the race, really, essentially, because if you look at moments in time, he was pulling, and it kind of pulled the pace up a little bit when Hugh made that move on the outside. And that's the interesting thing about Happy Valley is sometimes you get hung wide and it kills your chances, and other times it looked like, on Wednesday night, outside was kind of the place to be when they were rattling home. Helene Feeling, Vincent had 2 from the back there, but it's always interesting, and Helene Feeling loves that Happy Valley 1800 meter. That's not his first win there at the distance, so.
Yeah, and it was Harry Bentley aboard. That was his second Group 3 winner in Hong Kong. So congrats to Harry. One of 4 winners on the night for trainer Danny Shum, which included a 64-1 winner in Judy's Great. So that 4-timer rocketing Danny Shum to the top of the trainer standings. He's now got 27 wins for the season, 1 ahead of Pierre Ing and 3 ahead of Mark Newnham. We might as well take a look at the latest jockey standings while we're on it. And Zac Purton, 36 wins clear now of Hugh Bowman at the top of the table as he chases not only Douglas Whyte's record, but an 8th Hong Kong champion jockey title. Vincent Ho, Matthew Poon, and Luke Ferraris rounding out the top 5. And we're very pleased to have Luke Ferraris join us as our special guest on this week's show. Luke, welcome along. We were just looking at the current Jockey Championship standings where you're sitting top 5 at the moment. How would you compare the start you've had to this season to your previous 3 seasons in Hong Kong?
Hi guys, thanks very much for having me. Yeah, much much better. Sort of big improvement from the start of last season. Started last season, I suppose, started off fairly good and then tapered off a bit. But it's been a strong start, and it's continued like that and up until so far. So hopefully we can just keep chipping away the way we are.
And of course, you brought up the 100 Hong Kong winners just before Christmas with a double on that all dirt meeting, the night meeting at Sha Tin. The 100th being for trainer Mark Newnham. What did it mean for you to not only bring up the century, but to do it on a Newnham trained horse, given the relationship that's developed between the two of you?
Yeah, it was pretty special. As I touched on in an article earlier, it was sort of quite. Not full circle yet, I suppose, but on the way there from being a kid growing up in the garden watching the races to ride my 100th winner, especially for a trainer like Mark who's got behind me so much this season. Yeah, it was really rewarding and yeah, after the meeting I sort of sat down and your family phoned me and had a chat about it, and it was yeah, it was pretty special. I enjoyed it.
Must be doing your dad proud.
Yeah, he's loving it. He doesn't miss a race. As does my whole family, mom and sister. They watch every race, and yeah, nothing gets past them.
That's awesome.
You did just mention we should let our audience know who may not be familiar with you. Why don't you tell a little bit about your story? Because you mentioned watching the races from the fence and all that kind of stuff. For those who don't know your history with Hong Kong racing, can you give us a snapshot?
Yeah, so dad moved out. Um, well, so we all moved out. I think I moved when I was about 18 months. 18 months old at the time when we first touched down in Hong Kong, and dad was obviously a trainer and grew up in Hong Kong for a good couple years, and then went back to boarding school at about the age of 9, turning 10. Um, finished my schooling sort of in South Africa from there on, and then went to the South African Jockey Academy at 15, and yeah, and then I was very fortunate enough to have a great apprenticeship, and as I left my apprenticeship, had a phenomenal season, bagging a couple Group Ones, and so I think that put me on the map to the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and I was very fortunate enough to have the contract offered to me at a very young age, and yeah, I've sort of haven't looked back since.
Was it a dream of yours to be a jockey, like from your earliest memories, growing up around it?
Yeah, I think it was. It started ooh, sort of when I can sort of start remembering things. I was up and going to track work with dad before school, um, and yeah, I'd get dressed in my school uniform and go start at 4 a.m. with dad and watch everything unfold, and then that sort of snowballed into my teens, which then led to my apprenticeship.
Given that rapid success that you were having in South Africa, Luke, in such a short period of time, like champion jockey twice and the Group One winners that you were riding that you just mentioned, one of only a handful of jockeys to sort of ride a Triple Crown winner. How tough was the decision to leave all that behind and then jump into the extremely competitive Hong Kong racing scene where you are going to be effectively starting at the bottom?
Yeah, not easy. I was very lucky to be affiliated with big stables in South Africa, um,
Yeah.
notably sort of Mike de Kock, Sean Terry, um, and then came the opportunities on the big stage with the big horses on Group One races. But I suppose you'd be you'd be silly to turn down an opportunity from the club because
Mm.
I've never seen a jockey go to Hong Kong and come back to their home country a worse rider. They'll always improve, especially with the type of racing we have here, where it's so um, sort of so intense, high pressure. Everything happens a lot quicker. It makes you much sharper, decisive rider. So I mean, that was always at the back of my mind. Like I was really young, so when I took it up, it was, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll come back a better rider. And if it works out, well, then fantastic. So yeah, that's sort of how I had the outlook on it, and thankfully it's been working out somewhat.
What was that experience like at such a young age, being on a horse like Malmoos for a triple crown? I'm assuming there's pressure, like out, so much pressure to ride a horse like that in those situations at a young age. What was that like for you?
Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Um, I think I enjoyed the pressure too. Um, they say pressure is a privilege, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But also when you find a horse like Malmoos, I mean, he takes the pressure off you too because they're such sort of professional athletes, and he would put himself in a spot and he would switch off, and when when I pushed the button, there was an immediate response every single time. So when you're on horses like that are not complicated champions, it makes you look really good.
Is the dream to find for a jockey? I mean, any jockey. And when you look at someone like Vincent with Golden 60 and J Mac with Romantic Warrior at the moment, even Huey, going back a few years ago with Winks, is the dream always to just find that next horse that's going to take you on a ride for a good few years and just be at the top of their game? Are you always looking for that horse?
Yeah, I think so. You definitely get out of bed a lot quicker in the morning when you know you're going to go gallop him. Um, so it adds so much more excitement, and everyone always wants to ride a champion, but they're that hard to come by.
Mm,
So yeah, it definitely adds an extra spark.
yeah, for sure. Now, Luke, I actually saw a video of you posted by the Jockey Club a couple of days ago about New Year's resolutions. And we've actually got a New Year's resolution in common, and that's to lose some weight and keep it off. I was wondering if you might be able to share any tips with me and the millions of others that are trying to lose weight as their New Year's resolution. And more seriously, is weight something that you do battle with?
Yeah, I do. It it probably one of the biggest adjustments I've had to sort of try get around is watching your weight in Hong Kong. But it's fairly simple in sort of like a place, South Africa or Australia or anywhere that you race frequently, because you've always got a handle on it. You're always racing. You're always riding a lot more horses than you would here. And then when you come here, you have to make a lot of changes that to try and get around it, because you can't just rely on the racing and the amount of track work that you do in the morning, because you do a lot less over here. Um, so that's been a big adjustment for me. And I think it takes a while to get your head around it and get a handle on it, but it looks like it's coming right.
Right.
And it's got to be tough too at such a young age as your body's changing and developing more, like to get that managed properly.
Yeah, for sure. And you got a lot more time on your hands here. So if you don't keep yourself busy, you're going to sit in front of a TV, and then you become snackish, and then it kind of snowballs down from there. Um, but yeah, I've sort of worked out what works for me, and it seems to be working.
And the food scene in Hong Kong's just so damn good too, isn't it? Alex, I think I came
Yeah.
back up from HKIR a few pounds heavier with that 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. breakfast. You couldn't just have one breakfast.
No, I don't think I've ever met someone that's gone on holiday to Hong Kong and come back lighter. The food is fantastic here, which makes it even tougher for us. So that's another hurdle you got to get over.
Mate, that custom tailored suit I got made the first time I went, that thing doesn't fit me anymore. I've been back too many times, just getting fat every day.
What
Yeah, it's a constant struggle, isn't it?
For me, it is.
what would you say? You mentioned kind of having a bit of time between race days. Luke, in Hong Kong, obviously you tend to race twice a week, Wednesdays and weekends. Other parts of the world, Australia, South Africa, UK, America, you'll be racing every day if you want to. You can chase those rides all over the country. What would you say are the advantages and disadvantages of only riding twice a week?
Well, I think the advantage is you get more time to yourself. It's not as flat out. You can pursue other hobbies you might have, I suppose. But the disadvantage is the weight scenario for me. When you're racing every day, like I said, you've always got a handle on it because it can't get away because you're going flat out. Whereas here, you ride on the Wednesday, then you don't race until the Sunday. So you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, um, and there's usually sort of a couple of lunches or dinners that you try to fit in between then, and that makes it a bit tougher. But yeah, look, we race twice a week. I suppose you can look after your body a bit better too.
Mm.
Um, yeah, a lot of ups and downs, but yeah, sorry, positive and negatives. But yeah, I quite enjoy I quite enjoy the twice a week. Um, yes, Hong Kong is funny though, I suppose, because it's so high pressure and intense. You race twice a week, but you still, to me, it still sort of feels like you race a lot more than it is. Um, but yeah, look, I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
Nice. Looks like you might have a Callaway hat on. What's your handicap? Is it?
Well, this is how we fill the days between Wednesdays to Sundays. We just play golf.
Who are you playing with in the jocks room? Anybody?
Yeah, there's a couple of us that play. I think there's about sort of half a jockey in place. Yeah, just about half a jockey can actually play.
All
Oh,
right.
that's awesome.
Who's the best golfer in the jockeys room?
I think the lowest on handicaps is Hugh Bowman.
Huey. All right.
Yeah, he probably should be lower than he is.
Is
I
that
mean,
right?
that's yeah.
Okay.
He's the lowest.
Well, Huey, right. What about Zed Purton? How's he go on the golf course?
He goes pretty good. He's another one that should probably be lower than with a lower handicap than what he is. But yeah, no, he's competitive. I'd actually say we're all around the same mark, really. I think Huey's off 11. I'm 14. Zach's probably 13 or 12. Lyle's 14 too. So is Harry Bentley. Um, yeah, so it's a very very even playing field.
That's awesome. It would make for some competitive games and fun games as well, I'm sure, out on
Oh
the
yeah,
course.
very
Uh,
very competitive.
You guys all live together too in the same quarters there. What's that like? Playing on the golf course, going to the track, riding in races, and then you guys all come home basically to the same buildings there. Is that a fun thing? Competitive? Challenging?
Um, I'm I mean I'm not too phased by it. For me, I see it as very sort of easy. You get to work in the morning, roll out of bed, and you're at the track, and then you walk 10 meters and you're back in your house again. So I enjoy living there. It's easy and it works for me.
mm. You're the youngest in the jocks room, which is unbelievable when you look like you've just won 100 Hong Kong winners, and everything that you've achieved in South Africa and all that kind of stuff. Where's the future for you in terms of what you want to achieve in Hong Kong? Um, Obviously, the world is your oyster there, and particularly with this relationship that you're developing with Mark Newnham, he's a pretty good train to hitch to, isn't he? Having a great year as a second year trainer, you guys have combined for I think 20 odd winners in the 100 that you've ridden. Where do you want to go from here? And to make this question probably even longer than what it should be, but you're watching now Zac Purton basically make history with over 1,800 winners and about to sort of break Douglas Whyte's record as well. Does that sort of inspire you to think that I could have a really long career in Hong Kong and be there for 10, 15 years?
Yeah, sure. I think the immediate goal is probably this season try to get as high as possible on the ladder. Finish the season off good. Try bang as win his home this season as I can. And then yeah, look, I'm very happy in Hong Kong, and uh, I want to, establish myself here more, and and then hopefully by doing that, then it opens up more doors, sort of overseas, and you know, just progresses from there. But I think at the moment, just taking it meeting by meeting, trying to get as many winners on the board as possible, and getting as high up on the table as possible.
Awesome. Do you have any connections with North American racing, Luke, or any favorite jockeys, trainers, or horses?
To be honest, I don't really. The time I think the time zone makes it really difficult for us to sort
Yeah,
of watch those races here. Um, but I mean, everyone knows sort of the Breeders' Cup, the Kentucky Derby, so those are always good to watch. But
yeah.
yeah, not as good as I should though. I don't keep up as good as I should.
And as you know, I'm a photographer. Is there a racing photo that you're either in or that you would like to be in that is like your ideal picture of you winning, say, a derby or something like that?
Yeah, probably the Derby, the Hong Kong Derby.
Nice.
That would be really special.
That would be cool. Alex, are you already picturing the photo, I imagine?
Oh yeah, I'm picturing it up in the irons, big yell, big smile on his face, the comeback, the whole nine.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to ride as a kid, and like I'm obviously way too big and way too fat to get on a horse. So I vicariously lived through you guys out there and try to make the best picture I can of you guys having the best moments in your careers.
Yeah, your photos are fantastic. I mean, I follow you on all social media platforms. Yeah, I'd like to put myself in one of those big races. Sort of, like you said, hype in the irons and giving a big roar.
Yeah, well, it'll be awesome. That's nothing better than photographing like career milestones for you guys too, because it's I understand the challenges and how hard it is, and not every day is a good day out there, and to have those special moments, it's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, definitely.
You should have stuck around after HKIR. You only need to stay another week or so to
I
get Luke's 100th winner.
I know, man. I'm trying to like level all this out. It's tough.
We're speaking to Zac on the show last week, Luke, and he said he's a bit of a US sports fan. Likes to watch the NFL on a Monday and a Tuesday your time because it's Sunday and Monday here. Are there any US sports that you're interested in, or are you just a rugby Springboks fan through and through?
Oh, I love my rugby, but I have been sort of got into to the NFL quite a bit recently. Amazon Prime had I'm trying to think off my head now. It was sort of like they go behind the scenes,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and they sort of they did uh, the Philadelphia Eagles. When they've done the Bengals, so they go behind the scene and they sort of give you
Yeah,
the ins and outs,
they did the Lions,
and
didn't they?
that
they,
yeah, they could have.
A few years ago.
Trying to
yeah, they
think of the
did.
name. All or Nothing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All or Nothing. Like they do a lot of them, but I got into that.
Yeah.
Um,
See, that's interesting because I think if racing had a show like that, and especially in Hong Kong, it'd be crazy with everyone living together and how competitive it is, and the off
Mm,
track and booking rides.
yeah, that would.
yeah, so that's got me into it. I've just finished the Philadelphia Eagles, so I'm just checking it now because it's gonna annoy me if I didn't get that. But yeah, so that I've sort of been keeping in touch with the NFL. That's quite exciting.
Nice one. Do you have a team, or do you follow one team in particular, or players?
No, I'm not that clued up yet. I suppose I'd sort of say like the Philadelphia Eagles because I've just
Yeah,
finished watching them on that, so I'm quite familiar with all the players there. So when they play, I'll sort of recognize some names, but no, I'm still catching up.
nice one.
Well,
Well,
if things go right, we'll have to watch the Eagles and the Lions in the NFC Championship game when I'm in Hong Kong.
you guys
Yeah,
can
that'd be
find a
good.
bar together. Well, that was awesome, Luke. We really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with us. We know you've probably got to get off to the golf course now after riding in the trials at Happy Valley this morning. So we better let you go. But congrats on just an awesome first few seasons in Hong Kong, and particularly a great start to this season. You got a lot of fans in North America. and we'll keep following your career and look forward to having you back on the show sometime again soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome to have Luke Ferraris join us on the show. Time to find a winner or two at Sha Tin this weekend, Saturday night, North American time. The feature race is the Racing Club Handicap. Racing Club Cup Handicap, I believe. And we see the return of number one Packing Hermit, a winner of 4 of his last 5 starts. He'll be tough to beat, but does have to overcome post position 11. Zac Purton takes the ride on number 4 Young Champion, which is interesting. Showed plenty of promise early on in his career. Number 6 Ruby Lot was just beaten by Packing Hermit last start. And number 12 Johannes Brahmas, sure to attract plenty of support after winning well last start under a big weight in a Class 3. The all-important speed map shows number 9 Turbulent Prince taking up the running. Alex, great race here. A number of chances and a number of them on the classic mile trail. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'm liking Johannes Brahms here. You know, you got to remember here too, with the rail at C+3, as much pace as there is in this race, it's going to be hard for these horses to rattle home from the back. Although I do think it does set up for a horse coming from off the pace.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm ended up on Johannes Brahms, where I think he can just sit a bit of a trip. Adzini's a stud there, and he gets in at the lightweight. So that's a benefit to him as well. And again, there's so much pace, and I think it almost puts Packing Hermit at a disadvantage being from barrier 11, where I do think he's probably the most talented of the bunch and has maybe the brightest future leading into that classic series. But I think that the trip right there might be a little bit tough. And interesting enough, too, to see Purton end up on Young Champion for John Size, who he hasn't ridden in the past, who was equipped with earplugs for the first time last time, which is kind of a unique piece of equipment there in Hong Kong where they normally run with the hoods. But yeah, I'm on Johannes Brahms here. What about you, Andrew? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I like your choice. I think he's going to be hard to beat, but I'm going to side with Ruby Lot, another one that's going to come from off the pace. He'll be closing late. Going to probably need a pretty decent ride from Brenton Avdulla here. He'll be riding for a little bit of luck of looking at the speed map. Could be 3 back the fence, actually 4 back the fence as well. So Brenton's going to have to pull out a pretty good ride, but he's won on him earlier on in the season. And nearly beat Packing Hermit last start with, I think, a worse run. So with plenty of pace to run it, I like Ruby Lot to beat your top selection, Johannes Brahmas. And I like Devano. I just don't know if Devano can get the 7 furlongs. He's been great over the 6 furlongs, but he should get a nice run behind the leader. And you know, if it can be sort of energy conserving, ground saving, perhaps he'll get that extra furlong. Maybe he can hang on for a piece of it. I'll throw him in for third to put a little bit of value in for my trifecta.
Yeah, he's super interesting and he's really consistent and he's very, very fast. It's on a Brave Smash. Again, same thing as you. Like, I don't know how he's going to handle the step up in distance, but that barrier should help him tremendously if he's going to get it. Like, he doesn't have to push from the outside and use his speed to gain position. So if he's able to conserve energy, I don't know. That's where the stand is going to have to be made in this race, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to that race, though. And then, as I mentioned, a lot of them on the road to the Classic Mile. So it's going to be a really good race there at Sha Tin on the weekend. What about a best bet, Alex?
Best bet, I'm going to, let's load it up here. I believe it's race 9. Yeah, it's race 9, and it's another Classic Series contender. I'm looking at Markwin. He's won 2 out of his starts this season. Derek Lung aboard. And again, he's kind of one of those horses that's touted for the series. So we'll see what he does here. And he avoids that Class 2 race, and he's still able to run in Class 3 at his rating of 73. So we'll see what he does there. But that's one I'm going to keep an eye on. And if the price is right, I'll take a swing at him.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to go the last race. And I don't mind number 11, Glorious Success, who actually ran a pretty good third to Johannes Brahmas, who we were just talking about. So that's a pretty strong form line heading into this race. So just has to overcome a little bit of a tricky barrier, but has run well at his 2 sort of starts in Hong Kong so far. So Glorious Success for me in the last. Well, another great show. Really appreciate you joining me, Alex. Thank you so much to Luke again for coming on. We've had some great guests. What about that? We've gone J-Mac all up Purton into Luke. Who are we going to get on next week?
Oof, I don't know, but like I said, hey, that Luke one I'm excited for because I think in
Mm.
5 to 10 years he's going to be like a huge name in Hong Kong racing. Just with the success he's had at such a young age, to be able to do what he's done at 23 years old, get the 100 winners, it's exciting prospect. So hopefully we look back on this and be like we talked to him before he turned into the next Zac Purton.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps things up for this week's edition of the Hong Kong Racing Show. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you find a few winners at Sha Tin this weekend. Let us know on the Twitter account, Hong Kong Racing North America, if you found any winners or if you want to get involved in the conversation, or hit up Alex or myself. We're always happy to talk Hong Kong racing with you. And of course, keep following the Hong Kong Jockey Club website for all your free PPs, replays, and more. And we will see you next week on the Hong Kong Racing Show.